Yeah, I'm upgrading Geist a little bit. If we're rating the Lashweed Lurker as a B-, I think the Geist is about a B- too. And this is probably C+. Alright, next, Ride Down, Red-White. This is one of my favorite cards from Khans of Tarkir. Destroy target blocking creature at instant speed. And creatures that were blocked by that creature gain trample until end of turn. So, hilariously, this blows out Watcher in the Web something fierce.
Oh, yeah.
That's the dream, isn't it? Your opponent plans on blocking all your dudes, and then nope.
Dead.
You just took 20 damage.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, that's the dream.
I think this card is very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like, if you're in red-white, this is probably one of the best removal spells in your deck. So, we can call this like a B- again.
Yep, B-.
Also that werewolf, yep. Watcher got a bit worse. Yeah, a little bit. Spell Queller, 1 white-blue for a 2/3 flash flying. I'm already in. And then it says, when it enters, you get to exile a target spell, which is not a permanent, by the way. Don't try to Oblivion Ring your opponent's creatures. It won't work out, and your judge will make you sad. And then when it leaves the battlefield, the exiled card's owner may cast that card without paying its mana cost.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a blowout. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this was also cast to great effect in the pre-release.
I mean, especially since you can cast this on, like, relevant combat tricks and stuff like Ride Down, and then
you
can't really get back.
Oh, you thought your creature was getting hexproof and +3/+3? Nope.
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, you can like literally just counter certain spells even if they kill Queller. And
worth remembering. You can't counter something that's big, but anything 4 or less is, fair game.
Big tempo play. Like, you pass on turn 3, you just steal their turn 3. So it's good.
Yeah. And the worst case scenario, hang on a minute. Wait, one question for the judges in chat. If it leaves the battlefield, can they only cast it at the time it leaves? Does the trigger go on the stack and then it stays exiled forever?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means like if you're casting it on a combat trick, you're basically just getting rid of the combat trick forever.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes. Like, not entirely,
it just doesn't just go straight to
it doesn't even help the delirium.
So they can't cast Ride Down if there's no blocking creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it still is just like a 2/3 flyer, but it's
2/3 flyer for 3 isn't bad.
It's really good. Yeah.
You could suspend your own collected
it's
company
great.
in standard.
I mean, it's like it's not like, I don't know. There are some bombs in the format that are just like more like win the game, but like this is huge play.
Oh yeah, this is like
such a great floor, like strong ceiling. Like, love this card.
It answers counter spells too. If they try and counter your spell, you counter their counter spell.
Yeah, I think this is comparable to Heron's Grace Champion, and Geese and Geralt. It's like BB+.
Yep. Yeah, I think B+.
I like white-blue, so I'm gonna give it a B+.
Yes.
It's a spirit too.
Yep.
Yeah, spirit.
All right, boys. Tamio.
You can use a Spectral Shepherd, right?
Yep.
You can.
Oh God.
Turn it and play it in response to its tracker.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's absurd. All right, Tamio, Field Researcher. So we just saw multiple people get completely destroyed by this card in the pre-release. And it is 1 and then banned. So 1 green, white, blue for a Planeswalker that comes in with 4 loyalty. You can immediately say that when you could choose 2 creatures, and then whenever either of them deals combat damage, not just to players or to creatures, you draw a card. So in certain situations, her +1 just means draw 2 cards.
Yep.
And so in that scenario, if your opponent has a really good board, kind of the worst case, well, not the worst case, but one of the worst case scenarios when you're +1ing is that she becomes a 5 loyalty Planeswalker, and you draw 2 cards, and then she immediately dies and fogs your opponent for a turn, which is pretty good. Her -2 is probably what you're going to be using if you're behind on board. You tap up to 2 target non-land permanents.
Or
really ahead, yeah. And they don't untap during their controller's next untap step. So that's like pretty good and stuff.
Yeah, that's really good.
If you just use that ability twice,
yeah.
Yes,
it's just good.
Right, like just, is it Frost Breath that does it too?
Yeah.
Or does that just
there's like Blinding Beam or Sleep.
Yeah, like
where you're getting like a tap for
Will of the Naga, right? It's like if Will of the Naga had suspend or had rebound, if you just do it minus, like if you
I'm,
just minus
I'm
two
probably
it.
getting this wrong, but that's insane.
That is absurd. Yeah.
Use it 2 turns in a row. That means it's like 3 turns that you get to
Yeah,
attack.
you base. Yep.
Like, into those creatures. Yeah.
Yep. And then her ultimate says Omniscience and Ancestral Recall,
Not bad.
which I'm sure is going to happen in limited sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so.
It doesn't
much
seem
less
like it's even that hard for that to happen.
The thing about the -7 is that like the +1's gonna be drawing you more cards than -7 is most of the time, and then
Yeah.
your cards are not gonna cost that much.
Well, it's not always. Yeah, it's true. You're probably not going to -7 all that often, but I don't
most of the
know.
time your -2 is just so good.
Sometimes like you won't be attacking. Like you'll just be kind of sitting there.
The real irony is that Tamiyo makes it much easier to cast Emrakul. But yeah. Anyways. So how do you rate this as a first pick? Like, how much fixing is there, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much fixing. Green has some. I mean, like, it's a card I'm certainly happy to first pick. And as I said, my strategy is like, yeah, I mean, I'll take a shot at a card, and then the next pick there's a murder. I'll be like, okay, take murder.
Exactly, yeah.
I think this card is very, very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very, very good. If it's just like first pick, first pack, like, yeah, I mean, I'm fine first picking it. But I think I would take Murder and Savage Alliance over it for, just like,
but
also Bonnie cards that are so much more likely to actually play. So I'd give it a B+.
Yeah, because that's interesting. Because then you said that you'd rate Bloodhall Priest as a B, I think, or B+.
Yeah, I moved that down to B.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, it is 3 colors, but like Tamiyo is worth splashing, where the Bloodhall Priest is like
it's
not really.
So I feel like she's definitely worth a grade or 2 above Bloodhall Priest. If you like Bloodhall Priest as a B, I think this is a B+ or an A- as a first pick.
Yeah.
Obviously, if she's in your deck, she's
B
an A+.
and then
but...
B+.
Yeah. All right. I think B+ as a first pick is pretty solid here. So then the real question is, all right, so how do we evaluate Spell Queller? Do you think Spell Queller is still a B+?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Spell Queller is very strong also.
It's true. I think this is a good bit stronger than Spell Queller, but
also much harder to cast.
True. All right, yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
We did see multiple people in the pre-release get mana screwed and try to cast Tamiyo but fail. Or cast her way too late.
Yeah.
All right, our last gold card, Eldritch of the Krallen Horde, which is a 5-mana 4/4, which when it enters the battlefield or transform, target creature gets +4/+4. So it brings a combat trick along with it, sort of. And then at the beginning of each upkeep, if no spells are cast, you transform him, and he turns into a 6/6, which whenever Eldritch transforms into it, you may have Eldritch, which is a 6/6 fight target non-werewolf creature you don't control. And then, obviously, if you player casts 2 or more spells, you flip him back. So this card is very strong and limited.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
what
is there even to say about this? Like, this
when
is
it flips.
Yeah.
You kill your opponent's best creature, and you get a 6/6.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it flips back, you punish your opponent even more because you make a creature get +4/+4.
Yeah, I mean the
which
front
could
side
be
of it
Eldritch
is
itself
pretty
because it could be an
When
8
you
now.
play it,
If it
has
didn't even
haste.
flip.
Yeah.
Like it would be pretty great. Just 4/4 that gives creature +4/+4 on turn.
Yeah.
Pretty nice. So I just give it an A. I'm first
Yeah,
picking.
I think this is the best. This is the best multicolor first pick in the format.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. All right. Shall we finish with the colorless creatures and artifacts and lands?
Because this is such a weird set to
This
like.
is a strange set to evaluate.
Like I'm trying to come up with my grades and just like there's just like colorless and then what do I put the gold and the are these the like green cards or then lands and melt and flip cards and ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think we said it before, but this is definitely the most complex limited set we've seen in recent memory. Mm-hmm. Like at least since Return to Ravnica, maybe. Like those sets are pretty tough, but
since Future Sight.
Since Future Sight, really?
No, I don't.
Really, I don't know about that.
I just remember Future Sight being pretty complex.
Yeah, I don't think this is quite that bad.
I mean, you just drafted Sproutstorm, right? Of the strategy.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Maybe since the original
hard to play.
Yeah. Anyways, Cathar's Shield. It's a 0-mana artifact, so affinity players just salivated.
Isn't this a functional reprint or something?
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, a quarters.
Quarter shield. Yeah.
Okay. Equipped creature gets +0/+3 and has vigilance, but you have to pay 3 to equip it. So all I can see when I think when I see this card is Storm Counter 1, but
I mean, you put it on a spider, you can block even more stuff.
yeah, I don't love this. Honestly, the most relevant word on this card is vigilance.
Yes. Vigilance is relevant when you have murderous compulsions running around, but
yeah,
still not good enough.
I just don't think this is great.
Yeah, I'm not.
It's no true faith sensor.
I've seen it be okay, like the Accorder's Shield.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it can be fine. It's not a card It's just not a card that I'm gonna play, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever play this, but I could see that it has value, so I'll give it a D+. I don't know. Maybe that's a little generous.
I gave D+.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like, you can always run it, and I think it'll be okay.
Yeah. It's not going to be like bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cryptolith Fragment. This card is interesting. 3 mana for a artifact that comes into the battlefield tapped, and you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, but each player loses 1 life. So that's symmetrical. A symmetrical effect. And then it will flip if each player has 10 or less life, and it turns into this 1/4 flying death touch monster, which whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 3 life. And worth noting that it will not have summoning sickness when it flips. That's probably obvious to most people, but it's worth mentioning. So yeah, this card's pretty sick. I don't know. I like this. What do you guys think?
Gosh. I mean, it's really hard to evaluate.
It is hard to evaluate.
First of all, when it flips, I love the flip.
Oh
side.
God, yeah.
I mean, that seems amazing. So I'm already thinking, like, okay, can we get to that somehow?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a 3 mana, come to play taps for 1 mana, any color,
and it fixes. So, like that's the gravy, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's okay. One thing is, like, usually when I'm playing a type of card and wanting to fix, like, I want to keep my life total as high as possible because I'm trying to cast like powerful cards. So it seems kind of weird that it's like draining as I'm casting stuff.
It's not that bad of a drain though. It's just 1, and it's to each player. So
yeah,
I don't think that weighs too heavily against him.
The thing is, when you're ramping into something huge where the life total probably isn't really relevant. You're finishing them by a lot, so the drain is less.
Like I don't care much about the drain that I'm doing to my opponent. So I pretty much only care about, like, can I flip this? Mm-hmm. Like, am I getting a lot out of adding the mana? In which case, I feel like this is kind of worse than like a Dark Steel Ingot.
Yeah, Dark Steel Ingot. Yeah.
I think it's
like,
really. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So the reason I think that this is interesting in this set is because of the fact you have these werewolves where you have like a mana dump, but it's also just an aggressive creature, which means that the fact that it's kind of pushing life totals down and ramping is so much better because you actually have something that you're ramping to that's also aggressive, and that's why I think this card is more interesting.
Yeah. Now, one thing to remember about this cards like this is that context is everything. In Magic Origins, this would be close to unplayable, right?
Correct.
Like, I think in Magic Origins, you'd almost never play this. But this format is not that aggressive. Or at least I don't think it's going to be. I think that this format's going to be like a turn 8, turn 9, turn 10 format. Like, probably about the same as Shadows. Maybe a little slower. So with that in mind, I think this is a little more playable than it would be normally. So I don't know.
NFL mentions, like, if I'm at 6, my opponent's at 18, this card's terrible. So the question, one question is, like, how often are we both getting to 10? How often is one person just going to have a high life total?
Right.
I mean, if your opponent has a low life total, then obviously you're fine. Like, so in that situation, if you have high life total, your opponent has low life total, then this is great. If you both have low life totals, this is great. If you have low life total, your opponent has a high life total, that's when it's bad.
Right. If you both have high life total, it's also good.
But in that case, what cards are going to pull you out of it? Is a 3/3 for 3 going to pull you out of that? Probably not.
I mean, like, this is like a card that's going to drain, like, that costs 3 that doesn't affect the board and is going to drain more life from you is pretty terrible.
It is pretty terrible, but spot. Like, yeah, I agree. But it's worth remembering that when you're behind like that, there aren't a whole lot of cards in the game that pull you back. So the fact that this is a strike against it, but you have to remember, like, what would you be replacing this with that would be better in that situation? I mean, it's filling that spot of it's not a creature, it's not removal, So it's either a combat trick or ramp or, question mark.